What is the weakest pawn in White's camp? I've given this position to one of my students and they told me that the weakest pawn of White is the one on b2. That's the one not guarded by any of White's pieces. And it is kind of logical, to think that way. But in chess, it is not correct. Now keep up with me, you'll learn what really is the pawn you should attack, and which pawns are rock solid on the other side and you don't want to spend your energy and invest your moves in putting pressure on them. Now theoretically, that pawn on b2 is not a weakness, as it is not an isolated pawn, nor backwards, while practically there is no way we can attack it as black, even if we try. So from both theoretical and practical standpoint, that pawn cannot be weak, even though it is not defended. In fact, White shouldn't bother defending that kind of pawn. Now let's underline this as a guideline. A pawn is not weak only because it is not guarded by any other pawn or a piece. Now, typical mistake by many beginners. They think that if something is not guarded, the disaster is on a horizon. But what is weak in White's pawn structure? All their pawns are together. They form two pawn islands indeed, but both of them are solid. All pawns together, no isolated pawns, nor doubled or backward pawns. That's a theoretical view only. Practically, we need to involve the question of what black can put under pressure, and that can be done without that much of effort. What we have here is the pawn chain pointing towards the queen side. That means in general that black's better chances are simply on that part of the board. Also, we have the b4 pawn quite advanced. It's freeing up the squares behind for the black's pieces. Overall, it generates a lot of space for them to organize better than the white's pieces on the queen side. Now note that the b4 pawn is an isolated pawn. But is it weak or not? Is it a target for white or not? Well, the question is, I think, only rhetorical, as that pawn can't really be put under pressure by white unless something really strange happens. It is so because black has much more space, as we said, and white's pieces have no easy access to attack on that part of the battlefield. It is a strange constellation of things, I would say, that black's b4 pawn is theoretically weak, but practically strong, while white's c2 pawn is theoretically strong, while practically an easy target. And black's pawn is the one which keeps the c2 pawn stuck in place, because if it moves, it gets taken. Either the pawn on c3 turns into a backward pawn, or the b2 and d4 are becoming isolated. Either way, black is happy. And this means that the c2 pawn already can't move, or shouldn't move. It means it cannot be protected by the b2 pawn, by its neighbor pawn. And overall, it behaves already as an isolani, or a backward pawn. That's what I mean when I say, it's practically weak. So what black should start doing here is simply pile up on the c file, the heavy artillery of course, and just attack the main weakness. That's the plan, and as you can see, it can't be simpler than that. Now we can move to the comment section, as this exercise is going to be continued in the coming video. But I'm planning to implement some of your ideas and suggestions, so feel free to contribute.